This is the most cherished stretch of real estate in sport. Reaching this line is the ultimate test of mind, body, spirit. And crossing it, the culmination of a lifetime of training. An end to an epic athletic journey. The realization of a lifelong dream.
Dave Scott.
For generations, the best endurance athletes on Earth have come to Kailua Kona, Hawaii, hoping to cross this finish line, to etch oneself into history, to be called an Ironman.
Ironman World Champion Patrick Leonard.
This is Ironman, 40 Years of Dreams. Ironman today is legendary. Its lore and magnificence is recognized the world over. But to see it now, it's difficult to imagine that the first Ironman race happened with almost no fanfare.
We started with a concept with 15 idiots on a beach, Sans Souci Beach in 1978, 12 finished.
It all began with a simple question. Who was the fittest? Swimmers, cyclists, or runners? The answer came in the form of a challenge. Combine the 3 toughest events in Hawaii: the 2.4-mile Waikiki rough water swim, 112 miles of the Around Oahu bike race, and the Honolulu Marathon.
That's right. Whoever crawls across the finish line first, we'll call him the Iron Man.
The 15 people who started that year, they were not thinking that this was going to turn into something 40 years later where everybody on the globe knows about Ironman.
I think Ironman has gone from fascination to inspiration. It's totally morphed into something that I don't think anybody could have envisioned.
I knew in my heart and in my gut that this sport was special. It impacted me in a way that nothing in my life ever had before. I wanted to scream from the rooftops. This Ironman thing will change your life.
I happened to go over to the 1981 Ironman, and I went over there as a spectator, and I'd never even heard of the sport of triathlon. I wasn't a swimmer, I wasn't a cyclist, I wasn't a runner. But on race morning, I was standing on the seawall right there at the swim start, and I just got this incredible wave of adventure. And I think for the first time in my life, I just felt like I wanted to try something that seemed impossible, that I'd never even had any reason to believe I could do. I made the decision right there that I was going to be off the seawall and into the water.
This is the World Championship.
There's some essence to Ironman, the allure. It just captures people.
Ironman was special to some, but in 1982 it became a phenomenon to many. That year, national television coverage came to Kona, and so did an unassuming American grad student.
You've got this gal named Julie Moss with freckles, 22 years old, wearing a trucker hat, leading the race. And people are watching at home and going, this is unbelievable. Look at this girl. She could be my neighbor. She could be my kid. She could be babysitting my kids. And she's coming apart at the seams. And within a quarter mile of finish, you see her like Bambi. Her legs just start wobbling and she goes to the ground. And you're watching at home going, stay down, or get up, but don't run. It's the original reality television. So you can smell the finish line, it's right there. And she collapses again. And this other 22-year-old, Kathleen McCartney, goes running by Julie, never sees her. She goes by, she wins the race, and then the camera comes back. It was something that touched a nerve.
The reaction to Julie's heartfelt effort was profound, and interest in Ironman exploded. This new sport suddenly had national attention on a scale never imagined just a few years before.
Towards the beginning, there wasn't many of us. You wanted everybody to be as enamored with it as you are. And over the years, we started seeing that happen more and more. People started becoming involved, doing races. When you see the numbers of Ironman Hawaii go from 300 to 500 to 800 to 1,500, whoa, in 4 years, what's going on here?
Coming up, with the growth of the sport came the creation of something else, the professional Ironman category. And with the professionals came epic rivalries.
Napoleon is duping us. We can't afford this with our trust. You're an nincompoop.
Gentlemen, I have just received word. The Louisiana purchase is complete.
Instant purchase notifications from Capital One, so you won't miss a purchase. Large, small, or very large. Technology this helpful could make history.
What's in your wallet?
Ordinary stains say they can do the job, but Behr Premium Stain can weather any weather. Overall #1 rated, weathers it all. Right now, get incredible savings on Behr, exclusively at the Home Depot.
We believe everyone should live in a home they love, and we are just obsessed with our customers.
We try to bring vast selection and options to people to really help them create environments that reflect their personalities.
The Wayfair brand is only a little over 6 years old. Without using television, I don't think we would be where we are today. Television let us take a great experience that we had built and tell the world about it.
TV has really helped us build that richness with our brand.
The number of people who know our jingle, who sing it out loud, that's just been astounding.
It's 99-cent Kids Nights at Golden Corral. Every night, kids eat and drink for just 99 cents. Under $1. Woo! It's prime time for family time every night. Come on now. Golden Corral. Your choice rules.
We're here in this auto graveyard to demonstrate a remarkable car polish. New Finish, the once-a-year car polish. Simply wipe it on and just wipe it off. It's that easy. And look, New Finish restored a deep, hard shine even to this weather-beaten car. We polished this car with New Finish and ran it through 52 car washes. Even after heavy-duty detergents and powerful scrubbing, the water still beads. So get New Finish.
Available at Advance Auto, Target, Home Depot, Walgreens, AutoZone, Walmart, and other leading stores.
Here comes the rain. What's that girl? Bro needs help? Take me to her. Hurry, go! Why aren't we taking roads?
Oh, you made it. Do you have change for $1?
This was the emergency? Yes, I was busy.
24-hour roadside assistance from America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
You know, I think you're my best friend. You don't have to say I'm your best friend. That's okay.
Every October, the granddaddy of all endurance events erupts in the tropical town of Kailua, Kona, Hawaii. The Ironman World Championship. Ironman has always been about the distances. A 2.4-mile swim, a 112-mile bike, and a 26.2-mile run. The course is the same for all athletes, regardless of gender, as is the prize money.
In 1979, Lynn Lemaire, first woman to come and had the second fastest bike split of the day behind Tom Warren, finished 5th overall, and set the standard that the Ironman was always going to be about both sexes.
This at a time when the Olympic Games were still excluding women from marathon and cycling events. The onslaught of talent that came to Kona in the mid-'80s saw records fall every year.
Sylviane Puntos will set a new women's world record.
With that surge came two young women from two completely different worlds.
There was a Erin Baker-Paula Newby-Fraser rivalry. Erin Baker spoke her mind.
I'm in a position now that I can say just about whatever I like.
And probably wasn't racing to make others feel good. Paula had a switch she could turn on, and when that switch was on, it'd stay out of her way. The confidence was so high.
I think the personalities were totally opposite, totally different people. I don't think they ever liked each other.
I don't give any energy to my competitors.
One time I wanted to do a photo shoot for a competitor. I've never been at a photo shoot where two people said not one word to each other for 2.5, 3 hour photo shoot. It was icicles in that room.
The differences between the two women weren't just rooted in what happened on the course. For the first time, geopolitics played a role in the World Championship.
I grew up as a white South African in the absolute peak years of apartheid.
I knew that she, came from a regime that I was sort of opposed to, and having myself been involved in anti-apartheid, demonstrations in the 70s.
What do? You're born somewhere. It doesn't mean that every white South African supported the regime. I wanted out of South Africa, and doing triathlon gave me a means to move to the United States.
Paula on paper was never probably going to be a close friend of mine.
The two women clearly had little in common, but there was one thing that united them. Each had an unbridled passion for Ironman.
Whether they would talk to each other or not talk to each other didn't make any difference, because those two, they were the best in the world.
Paula captured her first Ironman in 1986. But it was a default win due to the leader, Patricia Puntos, getting a drafting penalty. The victory always carried some questions with it.
I felt that a lot of people were, oh gosh, what if she was a fluke? She only won because Patricia was disqualified.
That next year, in 1987, Paula had the opportunity to prove her world championship status. But Erin Baker won the title, and Paula placed third. Already at odds, their differences now played out on the course for the entire world to see.
It was personal. Those two wanted to kick the other gal's ass. Period. End of story.
At some stage during the race, someone decides second's good enough, and that's what happened. I want her to decide it before I do.
Now I would like to get on my bike and get off my bike and just absolutely not see her face for the whole day. It'd be wonderful.
Coming into the 1988 Ironman, each athlete now had a world championship title to their name. The tiebreaker would prove historic. Paula shattered Erin's course record by 34 minutes, finishing in a time of 9:01:01. The possibility that a woman could break the formidable 9-hour barrier was now real.
Paula, at that point, announced her presence with authority. Okay, you don't think that I'm worthy to be a champion? Let me show you.
Paula went on to win 6 more Ironman World Championships for a total of 8, eventually breaking through the once impenetrable 9-hour mark in 1992.
She'll finish this race as the first woman to ever break the 9-hour barrier in the Gatorade Ironman.
Today, Paula Newby-Fraser is the most decorated Ironman athlete in history. But there was a time when she felt her athletic ability wasn't enough.
I was honestly fearful when I raced her. I looked at her and truly believe to this day that she, as an athlete, was far, far more talented than I was, ever.
Hawaii, I think I probably thought about Paula far too much, and certainly let it affect my game. But then she was probably just better than me at Ironman, so that's the way it goes.
Erin Baker won 2 Ironman World Championship titles in 5 appearances. Paula won 8. Both women are now in the Ironman Hall of Fame.
The rivalry between Paula and Aaron, who came out on top? The sport, Ironman. The sport is better off because of Aaron and Paula.
The two of them together were pushing and showing everybody else what was possible. And that's the most important thing to see about their rivalry, is that they were paving the way for Natasha Bodman and Chrissy Wellington, everybody who's come along since then who set standards.
As a fan of the sport, absolutely, you love to see rivalries and you love to see athletes go head-to-head. That's always what captured my attention. I admire what they've done in Kona and I admire who they are as athletes.
Coming up, Ironman is chock full of races and athletes that have become mythical. We'll look back at how the legends began.
All units be advised, pursuit officers up.
Introducing the all-new Hyundai Veloster. Actual size may vary. Marvel Studios' Ant-Man and the Wasp. In theaters July 6th.
Search for a really strong glue that's clear.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Clear glue. Clear Gorilla Glue.
Of course. Gorilla Glue strength in a crystal clear formula for the toughest jobs on planet Earth.
Today, we're opening more than 150,000 locations called Domino's Hotspots. You can finally get Domino's delivered to every single one of them. Get 2 medium, 2-topping pizzas delivered for $5.99 each.
Domino's Hotspots. Delivery to parks, beaches, and other outdoor locations near you.
And the champion golfer of the year.
Most people don't know that pharmacy prices vary wildly and that insurance isn't always your best bet. GoodRx is an easy way for Americans to save up to 80% on their prescriptions. You type in the name of your prescription, you find a coupon, and save. GoodRx works at virtually every pharmacy in America. This year, we'll save Americans over $1 billion on their prescriptions. There's no membership required with GoodRx. It's totally free, and we don't need any personal information. Go to GoodRx.com to see if you can save on your prescriptions.
Every big dream has a starting line. It's here where kids take that first step, first swing, first leap forward. Start your journey today at sportsengine.com.
Ironman is commemorating its 40th anniversary, and there is plenty to celebrate. Its ragtag beginnings moved quickly to the recognition that Ironman was a legitimate sport, and athletes immediately started making a name for themselves. One of those competitors was American Dave Scott.
Dave Scott has just won his 3rd Ironman Triathlon World Championship, and he has done it in world record time.
He was the Ironman World Champion in 1980, then went on to win an astounding 5 more titles.
Dave Scott, and a new record.
I think I have the mental perseverance to out-endure anyone in this race. I mean, the topography and the terrain is mentally really stifling, and I think that's where most people, they lose their concentration after about 5 hours. They give up.
During Dave Scott's championship run, there was a talented athlete by the name of Mark Allen nipping at Dave's heels.
In the mid-1980s, Dave and I were very, very competitive. You know, we were both ultimately each year going for the same thing. We wanted to be the Ironman champion. He was one step ahead of me the whole way through.
Throughout the 80s, one of my arch rivals was Mark Allen. I realized right away that this guy was talented, and he was one to reckon with.
Each year in Kona, the 2 Americans would square off at the Ironman World Championship. Mark would consistently get to the lead before being overtaken by Dave Scott.
In 1984, Mark had, I think, a historic lead, 10 minutes at the halfway point up to Javi on the bike. And at the halfway point on the run, 13 miles, I was able to catch him. But I knew Mark wasn't done.
Mark Allen has slowed to a walk. We have a new leader, Dave Scott.
I was able to win that 87 race. 88, he had trouble. I had some knee issues, and so we were out of the race, and now 89 was here.
Every year, we were watching Mark Allen leading and Dave Scott running him down. And that led to 1989 and led to the greatest Ironman race of all time, where Dave Scott had won 6 times in the 80s. Mark Allen had won nothing.
I don't think I've seen the guy walk a step in this race. So there's one thing you can count on when you're out there, is that Dave Scott is not going to die, which means I have to go faster, that I'm going to push a little bit harder, and that when it gets tough for me, I'm going to go beyond that until I get to a point where hopefully the guy's behind me.
You know, I want to have the best race I possibly can, but I want to make sure that if Mark goes by me, that he really pays the price.
The 1989 race was dubbed the Iron War, and the sport has never seen anything like it. Mark Allen stayed with Dave Scott for the swim and the bike. But on the run, Mark Allen pulled away at mile 24, and the rest is history.
Allen looking back. Allen has made a move, and Scott appears unable to answer it.
It was so special. People watching at home had been watching this build for the entire decade. And here in the last year of the decade, you finally had Mark Allen win, and it meant so much because he never lost after that.
It was a passing of a crown, and I think both of us knew that it was an amazing race. There's never been another race that close since then. There's never been a side-by-side battle with two adversaries who for years had been pushing the limits of what was possible in the sport.
Their achievement that day was extraordinary. Both men broke the course record, Dave beating his personal best time by 15 minutes, and Mark besting his by 30.
Once he had slayed the beast, once he had beat Dave Scott, Mark Allen won the next 5 times he went to the starting line in Kona. He never raced Dave Scott again, but he ended up with the same amount of Ironman World Championship titles as Dave.
The lore of the Iron War and the 2 men who fought for that championship is forever cast into the metal of Ironman. Through the 80s and 90s, American male athletes dominated the Ironman World Championship title. But in 1985, international athletes began to appear on the podium in 2nd and 3rd place. It was only a matter of time before someone outside the United States would become world champion. In 1994, it happened.
I had the perfect race. I had the perfect day. Nothing had ever gone so smooth like that in the other years. It was my 7th attempt at trying to win that race. It was probably one of the greatest days in men's Ironman history because the curse of the US athlete was now defeated, and it opened it up to the world.
I think it broke out globally when Greg Welch won Hawaii. I thought, wow, the door just opened. What's going to happen now?
It really became a very huge international phenomenon. I mean, people around the world knew it, but all of a sudden, people from all over the world wanted to compete in it.
Here comes Australia's Greg Welch.
When the Australians start having success, Australian media is covering it, and they're coming over. Then the Germans are having success, and the Germans are coming over. You know, the Brits, Chrissy Wellington, so then it becomes international. And all of that starts really with people from different countries coming to Kona, them having success in Kona, and then those stories start to resonate, and it becomes international.
The professional athletes that come to Kona are only part of Ironman's greatness. The demand for entry in Kona from amateur athletes around the world helped to create the age group category. Of the 2,400 athletes that compete each year, only 95 are professional. This is one of the few sports where amateur athletes and professional athletes compete side by side.
If I qualify to go to Kona, and I can be on the course with the greatest athletes in history, at the same time doing the same race, there's something so unique about that, so compelling, that it drives the sport from niche to mainstream.
Coming up, as Ironman matured, it stretched beyond a competitive event. It became a personal goal, with some familiar faces showing up.
How do you know you made the right call? You just do. The light beer you've been waiting for has arrived. Lower carbs, lower calories, higher expectations. Corona Premier. Oh.
Just gotta make it what you want. Dude, are you friends with a real robot?
No, man, it's my service.
Maybe you should switch to a more reliable network.
Switch to Boost's super reliable and super fast nationwide network and get 3 lines for $100 a month, each with unlimited gigs and 20 gigs of mobile hotspot on each line.
Oh, you finally fixed the chair.
You know it. Whoa! Gorilla Glue, of course.
Gorilla Glue expands into the materials to form an incredibly strong bond for the toughest jobs on planet Earth.
Fire it up.
Duralast, proven tough so you can always deliver. Only at AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination.
At Booking.com, we can't guarantee you'll find gold on your Wild West vacation, but we can guarantee the best price on that there rental cabin, or any hotel, home, boat, yurt, whatever. Just don't get carried away with the Wild West thing. Hey, guys! Get the best price on homes, hotels, and so much more. Booking.com. Booking.yeah.
With the race course stretched in front of you, why settle for less? Ride the ultimate Ironman racing machine. Introducing the all-new Ventum One, built in honor of the 40th anniversary of the first Ironman race in Hawaii. Each limited edition frame is specially hand-painted in the United States. Turn heads, smash PRs, climb podiums. And there's never been a better time to buy. Reserve yours at ventumracing.com/Ironman.
Best part about July 4th being on a Wednesday, you get 2 epic NASCAR weekends with the 4th of July right smack in the middle. Think of it as a 4th of July sandwich. And I can't wait to get it started.
For 40 years, Hawaii has played host to the Ironman World Championship. The event quickly became the standard in endurance sports, with thousands of athletes from all over the world making a yearly pilgrimage to test themselves. Some of those athletes are recognizable from very different professions and backgrounds.
Gosh, actors, pro football players, people from different walks of life, they're only seeking the same challenge as what a professional triathlete is seeking. They're hard workers and they're at the top of their game. So there's no doubt in my mind that they can come in and succeed.
They just want to see if they can do it. They just want to see if they can finish it. And then they have as big of a smile as anybody else when they come in at 9 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours or whatever it is.
Ironman is demanding and defining, which is what draws the best athletes from around the world to Kona. Former NFL wide receiver Hines Ward reached the pinnacle of his sport, Super Bowl MVP. Still, he yearned for a greater challenge and set his sights on Kona. To help him with training, he got the best of the best. 8-time Ironman world champion Paula Newby Frazier.
Good job. It's a minute and a half.
Stay on it.
I remember the first time I interacted with him. I actually think in his mind initially he was like, okay, well, I'll train for this. It shouldn't be too hard, and maybe I could win. I got this. And I just was thinking to myself, wow, he has no idea what he has just stepped into.
It only starts to come apart when you get tired, and the only reason you're tired is because you're not fit.
I didn't know I was naive. I didn't know what all it took to put your body through, to get it to a position to even finish an Ironman. Because I prided myself on being a pretty good athlete, but when I got into the endurance world, I learned real quick that I wasn't a world-class athlete.
Oh my gosh, He was the consummate student. If I told him to do something, he did it. He didn't question it. He trusted.
You said this is going to get harder?
Yes. Such a coachable athlete, and he just absorbed everything. He threw his arms open and embraced it.
I found a lot about myself and something that I didn't know.
When you take someone like Hines Ward, who's an NFL player, gosh, he's a Super Bowl champion, MVP even, but put him in the lava fields with a bike and swimming and running a marathon, that poses a big challenge for those guys.
Crossing the finish line, it was probably one of the greatest individual goals that I've ever accomplished in my life. And having Mike Riley say you're Ironman was the greatest feeling in the world. Something that I would cherish for the rest of my life.
But it's not always world-class athletes who hear the call of Ironman. People who have great success in other aspects of their lives choose Ironman as the ultimate challenge, like actor and producer Sean Astin.
Because I've lived my whole life making movies and having people see the movies and TV shows I'm in and being public in that way, where do you go at different phases of your life to establish the next moment of who you are? And the amazing thing about triathlons is that it requires no one else. No one has to agree with you. No director has to say he's right for this. I can do it myself. I get to say who I am. I am a triathlete. For the rest of my life, I'll know that I did that, and no one can ever take it away.
In 2014, auto racing and para-Olympic champion Alex Zanardi came to Kona. As always, he brought his infectious and indomitable spirit.
Very often I get asked, why do you do this? And it's impossible to find the right words. Probably the best way to answer the question would be if Michelangelo would be asked, what do you see in that rock? It would be hard for him to understand that he saw already the statue that he was going to bring out of that rock. But it's what we love to do. Ironman is our statue. You have to be driven by your passion. It's what makes you be a good athlete on race day. And this is something that I've learned in my motorsport career. It's something that I've learned in my paracycling career, and it's something that is serving me to not only complete the distance into an Ironman event, but complete it in the way I want it. The finish line in Kona, it's a very special finish line. I crossed many in my life, in my racing career, but that one I will always remember. You know the entity of what you just covered, and somebody reminding you what you've done. It's special, and it's special there because it's the World Championship, because of the atmosphere, because everybody cheering, because of the quality of the athletes.
The reasons for competing in an Ironman are as varied as the people it attracts. All walks of life, all nations, every type of profession. As more and more people cross the finish line in Kona, the allure of the Ironman World Championship only gets stronger. Coming up, look back at some of the most inspiring Ironman stories through the years.
What makes a mountain? Is it made of rock? Does it need to be 100 feet high? 1,000? It doesn't matter, because everyone's mountain is different. It's whatever you need to overcome. And with available fully active all-wheel drive and torque vectoring corner control, you won't just climb your mountain, you'll conquer it. Introducing the new 2019 Sorrento.
I crawled across the finish line. I came in second, but I proved to myself I could do anything. When I think about my 1982 race, and especially the run, I knew I was going to do whatever it took to get to the finish line, without a doubt. That run defined me and defined my character.
Something trying to eat people for a change. How do you like them apples?
Dinosaurs eat apples?
Something's coming.
That red dot looks just like you.
What are you talking about? That's a T-Rex.
It's not a T-Rex. See? That's definitely you.
That's not me.
I know it's not really you.
Thank you.
It's your stunt double.
Presented by M&M's, and catch Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom in theaters June 22nd.
Structured settlement and I need cash now.
Call J.G. Wentworth, 877-CASH.
Get a reloadable J.G. Wentworth Visa Reward Card with $25 to start, just for receiving a quote on the sale of your future structured settlement or annuity payments. Call now.
877-CASH.
Offer subject to certain underwriting and transactional requirements. Call the number provided or visit 877cashnow.com/25.
This is a story of authenticity. It's a story of staying true to yourself and making your own rules. This is a story of capturing a moment in time while remaining timeless and striking the perfect balance between substance and style. This is a story that goes deep and looks behind the curtain, beyond the hype. It's about independence, intellect, and rebellion, analyzed by the minds who know how to break it all down. This is the story of cool.
Premieres Sunday at 9 on MSNBC. Dale Jr. in NASCAR, Sunday on NBCSN.
The Ironman World Championship in Kailua, Kona, Hawaii is the ultimate test of mind and body for even the strongest men and women. But some of the most memorable and inspiring stories don't necessarily come from the strongest or fastest athletes. When physically challenged competitors first asked to participate, Ironman was understandably concerned. Could their bodies withstand the harsh climate and rigorous course? And could they even make the cutoff times and finish the race? There was only one way to find out. In 1988, triathlete John McClain was hit by a truck while on a training ride. His life circumstances changed drastically in that moment, but his dreams never died. And by the mid-90s, he was ready to attempt the impossible.
What a beautiful day.
In 1995, John needed to complete his swim and bike within 8 hours in order to make the cutoff time and move on to the marathon. In both 95 and 96, he failed to get through the bike in the allotted time.
1997, maybe this is my year. Ironman have now opened up a wheelchair category. I did the swim in an hour, made the bike cut off with an hour and a half to spare, and finally crossed the line in 12 hours and 21 minutes. It was so special to finally get it right. The emotion was at the highest level. It was awesome.
It was a monumental moment. John McClain changed that finish line. He changed the event.
Once John McClain showed you can finish the race, then Carlos showed you can go fast. And Alex Zanardi goes, you can go faster. And that is where people look at what's there and go, how do I make it better? How do I make the time faster? That's what Ironman's been about from the beginning.
With John's completion of the Ironman in 1997, the door was now wide open for more PC athletes. In 2000, Ironman witnessed the incredible rivalry between ex-Navy SEAL Carlos Moleda and former motocross star David Bailey. The following year showcased a once able-bodied triathlete named Mark Harrimans, a Belgian with an unassailable spirit. In 2001, Mark burst onto the Ironman stage with an impressive 6th-place finish in Kona. 2002 had him eyeing a podium appearance, but things played out very differently that year.
Late January 2002, I had a bike accident on training camp in Lanzarote. I broke my spinal cord on level D65, it's from the chest down. And from that moment, I realized, okay, I'm not gonna win the Ironman of Hawaii this year, but I'm paralyzed for the rest of my life, so it was a really big change in my life.
Mark's accident was devastating, but he never wavered from his goal of competing in the 2002 Ironman World Championship.
The timeline from my accident to the next Kona race was 9 months. And normally they say, okay, you're in the hospital bed for 8 months. But after 9 months, I was back in Kona and back competing in the Ironman. You can change the past. In the past, the accident broke my back, but it was not allowed to break my dream. So I continue and I say, okay, I'm gonna win the Ironman of Hawaii. Not on the way that I wanted with my full body, but with my head and with my 2 arms.
For the next 3 years, the top of the podium was elusive. Finally, in 2006, Mark achieved his goal of becoming the Ironman World Champion in the hand cycle division.
Going to the finish line as a disabled athlete, it was for me a big victory because so many people said, yeah, put it out of your head, do something different. I'm paralyzed, but I'm still the same boy with still the same dreams. And I have still the spirit and the possibilities to go for my goal to win the race.
Triumph over challenge is at the heart of every Ironman. It's part of what makes anything possible. Sometimes the athletes who transcend those challenges and capture our imagination are the unlikeliest of heroes. In 2004, the remarkable came in the form of a 5-foot New Yorker named Sarah Reinertsen. Sarah was born with a bone growth disorder and had her left leg amputated above the knee at age 7.
One of the things I loved about Ironman was that the rules were the same, no matter what your disability. That was part of the allure, is that I really wanted to see if I could play in the same sandbox and do the same distances just like all the other folks. The first year I went into the race feeling very well prepared, but the reality was very different once I got out on the bike. You know, the winds kicked up and I just saw the time. I was just losing ground. Suddenly it occurred to me that, oh my gosh, I might not make the cutoff. I just failed, and that I had failed spectacularly in front of my family, in front of my coaches, in front of television cameras. You know, I think a lot of times when people hear my story or see my story, they can't necessarily relate to my same life experience. You know, they don't wear a prosthetic leg, but when I missed that cutoff and they saw the disappointment, they could relate to that, because as human beings, we've all felt disappointment. Failing the first time really was one of the greatest failures of my life, and it made that comeback so incredibly sweet. In many ways, going back the second time, there was more pressure. I was going to do whatever I had to because I did not want to fail twice.
That next year, in 2005, Sarah completed the swim and bike, besting her projected times. She just needed to make it through the marathon.
I always thought that I would cry when I got to the finish line, but once you get into that chute, the joy, the enthusiasm, the endorphins that I felt. There was no way I could shed a tear. I was grinning from ear to ear, and I just felt like literally I was flying, that I was floating down Elite E Drive to get there. That Ironman finish line is magic.
Coming up, crossing the iconic finish line at the Ironman World Championship, a feeling unlike any other in sport.
It's awesome to be able to be out there with my son competing. Our message is yes, you can. There isn't anything you can't do as long as you make up your mind to do it, and there's no such word as no. To see the crowds out there and the crowds cheering you on, that's the big thing, is going across the finish line. I just know there isn't anything that we can't do together.
Oh, this is taking forever. I'm so hungry I could die.
Whoa, Pete. Maybe choose better words?
At least he had time to eat.
Unbelievable. No excuses.
Not cool, Pete.
Snap into bold flavored protein. Snap into a Slim Jim.
Dude, are you friends with a real robot?
No, man, it's my service.
Maybe you should switch to a more reliable network.
Switch to Boost super reliable and super fast nationwide network and get 3 lines for $100 a month, each with unlimited gigs and 20 gigs of mobile hotspot on each line.
Dale Jr. in NASCAR, Sunday on NBCSN.
Most people don't know that pharmacy prices vary wildly and that insurance isn't always your best bet. GoodRx is an easy way for Americans to save up to 80% on their prescriptions. You type in the name of your prescription, you find a coupon, and save. GoodRx works at virtually every pharmacy in America. This year, we'll save Americans over $1 billion on their prescriptions. There's no membership required with GoodRx. It's totally free, and we don't need any personal information. Go to GoodRx.com to see if you can save on your prescriptions.
I want to be the leader of the pack.
I'm gonna break a record. I'm gonna own the beam. I can swim like a dolphin. I'm gonna be the king. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna fly. But first, I need to learn how.
Big dreams start at sportsengine.com.
The island of Hawaii is lush and severe, tranquil and ferocious. It is, altogether, an unforgettable place. For 40 years, athletes have come to experience the Ironman. And some of the stories they bring with them are as unforgettable and eternal as the island itself. In 2005, John Blaze was a 33-year-old triathlete with a bright future when he received a life-changing medical diagnosis. John had ALS, a motor neuron disease that would soon take his life. Devastated, he had just one wish.
His personal goal was to do an Ironman before he died. He wanted to get the story of ALS out. He always said, "Dad, failure is not an option. I have to finish this. I have to be a story where the story of ALS gets out to millions and millions of people."
John's wish was granted, and although he didn't qualify, his special circumstances warranted the spot. However, there were doubts that John would even make it out of the water.
There were a group of med techs talking. John came up, so of course I listened. The comment was made that he'll never get out of the water. Now, a swim that should have taken him a little over an hour took him, an hour and 50-something minutes, but he made the cutoff.
John fought with everything he had, coming close to each cutoff time.
He had said if he makes the bike cutoff, if he did not have a total medical shutdown, that somehow he would get through that distance of 26.2.
With only 30 minutes remaining before the conclusion of the race, John appeared in the finish chute.
I remember saying to my wife, he did it. I remember her crying. Mike saying to John, you are an Ironman. A lot of hugs, a lot of tears, a lot of emotion. He used this analogy, so it's not my analogy. It was for him his Lou Gehrig day. That day he was probably the luckiest triathlete on the face of the earth.
Blazeman, as he became known, passed away 2 years later. But his remarkable and inspiring feat is indelible. He's still the only athlete with ALS to have competed in and finished the Ironman World Championship.
John always wanted to be the best that he could possibly be, given the limitations that he might have. He never was satisfied with just being one in the pack.
John's experience broke through barriers and millions were able to better understand ALS. 10 years later, a very different athlete came to Kona. Iranian Shirin Jarami was looking to break through the barrier of exclusion. She had always dreamed of competing in Kona, but wanted to honor her Muslim tradition of being covered. No one had ever attempted this race in covered dress. If Shirin was able to complete the distance, Muslim women everywhere would have access to a previously unreachable event.
I'd never raced that distance before. I think there were a lot of people who questioned whether it would be possible to do it fully covered. But I think it was, for me, a hope and a dream to prove that you can do what is known as the hardest, most difficult challenge in the world and do it fully covered. To get to that finish line was quite a sense of calm and a very deep, meaningful feeling for me. It's really humbling to see all the people from all ages and sizes and abilities and disabilities going through this experience together, and it's extremely motivating.
Be able to say 4 simple words. You are an Ironman. That person could be defined by that moment in time.
You are an Ironman!
It doesn't matter who you are, you get the same exact reaction from everybody who crosses that line. And it's pure, unadulterated joy. They're crying, they're laughing, they're jumping.
It's got this unbelievable energy to it. And you see these people come across the line with varying degrees of, oh my God, this is maybe the greatest thing I've ever done. It's just huge.
I'd say it's the most important finish line in endurance sports. Not just so much because people are finishing the race, they are changing their lives.
It's like this holy grail for any athlete.
It's just this amazing celebration of the human spirit. It starts with the first person who crosses the finish line, and it goes all the way till midnight when that last finisher comes through.
It's just total elation, relief. You don't feel anything from the race. All you feel is euphoria.
The rush of endorphins and the rush of happiness, relief, the energy of the spectators that's concentrated right there is definitely something that gives me goosebumps.
All these emotions are just coming out one at a time. But the moment you get across that finish line, you always say, oh gosh, I'm never going to do that race again. A day later, you're signing up to go back. Why? To run down a Leahy Drive and go through those emotions again.
40 years of finishers have poured across the line at the Ironman World Championship. These athletes all have a special connection of place, of experience, and of accomplishment that can never be diminished or taken away.
Want more from your next SUV? Check out the Hyundai Tucson, awarded the most dependable small SUV by J.D. Power, and a 5-star overall safety rating by industry leaders. Thanks to an assortment of advanced safety features, all backed by America's best warranty. The Hyundai Tucson, a great deal more than just a great deal. Save up to $2,500 on the 2018 Tucson, or get 0% APR for up to 48 months.
What a stunning variety of 6 meals in mint condition. Look at this new KFC Crispy Kernel Sandwich, the latest of KFC's $5 fill-ups. I reckon everything in this collection costs just $5 each. Congratulations! KFC, it's finger-licking good.
You get dirty. You get clean. You're gold. Get clean and smell great with new Axe Gold Body Wash.
Do you want to make things go faster? Hi. Do you want to take your passion for motorcycles to the next level? Don't just train for a career. Train for success. At MMI, classes are developed and supported by leading brands, so you'll learn what you need in the real world.
The investment that I put into MMI has definitely paid off.
I would recommend MMI to anybody.
They give you the foundation that you need and confidence that you can work on somebody's motorcycle.
Visit mmisuccess.com today.
Tras un agónico camino a la clasificación, el gigante albiceleste despertó.
Llega la hora de la verdad para el equipo de Leo Messi.
Francia versus Argentina, mañana por Telemundo.
To see these early images of Ironman, it's hard to believe that anyone then could have predicted we'd be here 4 decades later. The athletes were daredevil endurance misfits, and the race organizers were thrill-seeking renegades. But the challenge itself was simply awesome.
When I look at Ironman and I go back to those early routes 40 years ago, I was a young guy. And it wasn't the novelty of doing it, it was really the opportunity.
If you look at those early adventurers, they weren't triathletes. They were people who thought it sounded cool. It was the wild, wild west out there.
Never experienced anything like it. I'm overjoyed. I don't have any breath, but I'm overjoyed.
You told me yesterday that it would be more of an honor for you than an Olympic gold medal. You still feel that way?
I still feel that way, yes.
Whatever it was that those early pioneers found fueled an explosion that today reaches 6 of the world's 7 continents. People from all walks of life can compete in 41 full Ironmans and 111 Ironman 70.3 races in countries from Brazil to China.
It's everywhere.
When I look at how universal Ironman is, if you think you can go 2.4, 112, and 26.2, bring it. Ironman is that all-encompassing event that is open to everybody. But when you get there, the only language that matters is swim, bike, run. That's the only language that matters.
It does seem to be representing the best that endurance athletics can be.
The allure and challenge of Ironman has found its way into the lives of athletes and fans around the globe. exceeding all expectations, which is exactly what Ironman is all about. Allowing the optimism of the human spirit to surpass the uncertainty of failure. Knowing, really knowing, that anything is possible.